Hey, this is Brimstone. You're watching AFK away from the keyboard. Ain't no better place to be than right here watching now.
Sit on this, Felix. Here you go.
Oh, God. Is that Big Ben?
Huh?
Big Ben. What time is it?
That was Big Ben, yeah. Hi, y'all. I'm Gil. And what, this is Twerp.
And what's his face? And
What's his face?
My name is Felix Silla.
The anonymous
And
Italian.
Gerard.
How you doing today? Isn't this a great convention? Terrific hotel? Yeah. Beats the hell out of the one in August, doesn't it? We were all in little individual rooms and stuff. What was that guy's name again? Box something or other. Yeah, Boost Bachbeichner? Something. Yeah, that's somebody. Huh?
What kind of language is that? What are you speaking there? Babylon?
Yeah. I was just babbling on about Babylon.
We didn't talk like that in Buck Rogers.
Say again?
Nothing.
What? What? English is not his first language. You'll have to excuse him. What we usually do when we're not goofing around, hey, you're always groping my butt. What is going on with you? Huh? I'm not sitting on the couch with you. Good God, man.
Are you happy now?
Okay, it's clean.
Happy now?
Yeah, all right.
Good. Anyway.
Oh. Well. Did he? That's why he and I have been friends for so long. Yes, I like Bruce a lot. He's a good guy. He abuses women, though. I just ask David right here. Says, terrible. Oh, God. She could tell stories, but you won't, will you? Atta girl. Don't raise your hand unless you mean it over there. I saw that. What we usually do is we answer questions. Of course, we're too damn lazy to come up with a talk of any kind. But we'd really like to know what you guys are interested in finding out about, rather than me standing up here pontificating about a lot of stuff you don't care about. So, who's got the first question? Don't be shy. Come on, there are door prizes. There you go. See, I knew. Yes, sir.
I think it was Buck Rogers. I had a problem walking and going up and down stairs. And every time I had to go inside the spaceship, or the fighter or whatever, this gentleman next to me had to pick me up and put me inside the spaceship. And he kept saying to me, "Hey, Felix, damn it, you're getting heavy." I said, "Gil, shut up. Put me up there." That was the most challenging one.
Yeah, it was not as comfortable as it appeared. But I got to tell you something now. This is a guy who created a role underneath at least an inch of plastic. You couldn't see his head, couldn't see his hands, couldn't see his body at all. And he created an incredibly lovable character with no lines, because initially when we shot the motion picture, Twiki had no lines. It was all added later. But it was added later because he created such a notable character with nothing except him. Yes,
Thank
please.
you. Thank you, Gil.
I say this at conventions when he's not around, it's nice to be able to say it to his face, along with the other crap that I give him.
Well, you know what? I believe the other crap are more than nice things that he says about me, but it's okay. You know. See, today, this weekend here, he hasn't been able to say anything bad about me because I'm here.
What?
Huh?
Haven't said anything bad about
Not-
you?
Well, you said quite a few things bad about me.
Not about
Yeah.
you. I've said bad things to you.
Oh,
Yeah, there's a difference.
you know what? You better stop.
I never badmouth you. I
Okay.
just demean you as much as possible, you know? Next question. Oh, did you get that answered okay? Okay. Who's next? Yes, ma'am. Well, oddly enough, it happened in the second season, which I hated. But it was the episode called The Satyr. Wow, this thing is really alive, isn't it? Whew. I can barely understand myself. Can you understand me okay? Okay. Then that's all that counts. Because I got a chance to play a real character kind of thing. I got away from the superhero or whatever, all that stuff, which can get boring after a while. But, I was able to play a character that really had some depth and fun to it. A lot of the scripts in the second season I liked. I just didn't like the milieu. I thought Buck should have stayed on Earth. And I think one of the reasons that I liked that segment so much is because it was akin to what I'd always wanted to see happen with Buck Rogers. It reminded me of, it could have been an adventure that happened somewhere out on Earth with some people who were stuck way out in, some nether region or whatever. It didn't have to happen on another planet. So I think that's another reason that I liked it so much, because that's really kind of what I would like to have seen happen with Buck. That he went out on Earth and had adventures on Earth with people. Sort of a 25th century have gun will travel kind of thing, which would have been fun, and he would have been my sidekick. So I always called it, I said, Buck needs to go on a journey of self-discovery, because he hasn't been on Earth for 500 years. It'd be nice. I always envisioned him saying to Dr. Hewer, thanks but no thanks as far as the director is concerned. I need to put my hands on something I recognize. It's been a long time. I'd like to just kind of hang out here for a while and see what's going on. So that's why I liked it. And I also enjoyed the movie. The movie was fun. Is that okay? All right, next question. Yes. No, I can't stand the rest of them. No, actually, I talk to Tim every once in a while. He lives up in the woods in Northern California. Erin, as soon as she gets out of the asylum, I talk to her about once a month or so. Tom, not so much, because he lives in New York and has his own thing going. No,
He's dead. He's gone.
I don't know who that was, to tell you the truth. I know it was a voice, but I have no idea who it was. But, other than that,
What about Tim
I hang
O'Con-
out with this yo-yo. So
What?
he lives in Vegas.
Oh, yeah. What about Tim O'Connor?
Should I give him your address? What?
Tim
I
O'Connor.
just said Tim O'Connor. You don't listen. Get the pasta sauce out of your ears.
I thought you were talking about
Jeez.
Princess Ardala.
Ardala, yes.
Ooh.
Pamela Hensley. I spoke to Pamela, it's been a while now, but she's living on a ranch up in Northern California and enjoying herself, and she's not ever going to do one of these, so far, she's not going to do any of these conventions. She's very happy writing her books. She's written a Sicilian cookbook. She's married to an Italian named Duke Vincent, who was the executive producer of all of Aaron Spelling's series. So needless to say, they're not hurting. Duke is a former Blue Angel, so he got Pamela into flying, and she's flown Stagger Wings and biplanes and all kinds of cool stuff. And the last time I talked to her, she said she wasn't doing any more flying. She's happy just hanging out at the ranch, and she ain't gonna leave, she said. She said, I don't even go out to buy groceries. I'm a real hermit, she said. Anyway, I would love for her to do it, because I know you guys, she's an incredible lady, and she's a really terrific person, and you would all enjoy meeting her. But she didn't give a shit about any of you. Sorry. Not really. Yes. That's a very complex question. Well, not really, no. Huh? Well, one was Duke something. He was the original Tiger Man. Unfortunately, someone told him that when it went to series that he was a much bigger star than he was, and he asked for a lot of money, and they fired him. I mean, he basically had no lines. He flexed a lot, and that was about it. So they got somebody else to come in and, with no lines and flex a lot.
Yes, they do the same thing and pay him less, right?
What?
They brought somebody else, did the same thing and pay him less.
Exactly.
Hey, that's how Universal is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's how it goes.
But the guy was a professional wrestler. The guy that I had the scene with where I wrestled, the guy was actually a professional wrestler. He was a kick. I loved this guy. He was really funny. Yeah. But he was sort of the, he was the the anti-muscle man, I guess. I don't know, but he was solid. He was fun to work with. Ardala, I remember one time well, I'll tell you a story. There's a scene where Ardala is trying to get Buck to marry her, and she's got the whole world sort of, I wanted to say, look, Ardala, I'm really not worth it. I mean, honest to God, you don't have to put the whole world on hold for this. I mean, really. But she had a scene. I was standing off camera, and she had a scene where she has a monologue in a mirror. And it's a very, very vulnerable moment. And she is basically saying to herself and her reflection, I don't understand why he doesn't love me, why, what's wrong with me, why does, Well, when she finished that thing, I was like, Jesus Christ, woman, the entire world's going to hate Buck Rogers. I said, you were so vulnerable. You were so wonderful. It's like, God, don't do that again. So then there was a time when we were supposedly I was carrying her, and of course she had those long trains, and I got just to the bed and stepped on the train, and we both took a header into the bed. Yeah, she took it with good grace. So, and I got off as quickly as possible. The bed, I mean. Skirted around that one. There are children present. Yes, sir. Well, it depends. They were all actors. They had stunt doubles for them. Yeah, that was one of the problems that we had with Buck Rogers. I always thought it should have been more character-driven, but they did have very good actors come in, and then they would get stunt doubles for them. So my stunt double was a guy named Michael Vendrell, who was a terrific guy. He was also my stunt double and stunt coordinator on Sidekicks, which is a series I did for Disney and ABC, before Disney owned ABC. Unfortunately, Mike just passed away suddenly this last year, and he was much younger than I am. And I was very, very saddened about that. He was a good guy. I liked him a lot.
My stuntman was myself, because nobody could fit in a suit.
Well, it was a stunt for you just to get in the damn thing.
Well, especially when I fell on my face, remember?
Exactly, you fell on your face, yes.
You remember that, right?
You never forgot that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
When the guy picked me up?
I picked you up.
No,
Oh, that's right, the guy picked you up and you were like, ah!
Yeah, the guy picked me up and he kept asking the director, I said, what do you want me to do with this guy? He had me underneath my armpits and I'm inside the suit. And meantime, I'm choking because I'm going into the suit. The suit's coming up and he kept saying to the director, what am I going to do with this guy? What are you going to do with this guy? I kept saying, put me down. And then he kept repeating it. He said, what am I going to do with this guy? I said, God damn it, excuse me, but put me down. I'm dying here. You're choking me. So finally put me down because I was really suffering. It was cutting my throat, because he's lifting me up on my armpits and I'm falling in. And it's, the mask didn't want to come off, so they finally putting me down. I said, "Oh, thank you so much, but I was about ready to kill you, you know." The assistant cameraman.
You were gonna headbutt him, weren't
the
you?
Mexican kid, the Mexican boy, the assistant cameraman. The guy used to load the film. He's the one who picked me up. And he's the one who wanted to take the spaceship, take him in his backyard and put him on blocks after the show got canceled. You remember that? Yeah. He wanted to buy the spaceship. He said, "It looks good in my backyard on blocks." You think Universal's going to give it to him? Yeah, right. Anyway.
I have no idea what he just said.
I know.
Somebody else had their hand up over there. Over here. All right. How you doing? Tough shit. The show was called Buck Rogers. Wasn't Buck and Wilma, and in housekeeping. Yeah, I know she carries around a lot of stuff, and I'm not like, it's only been 30 years. Could you get over it? I don't know. I mean, the trouble was, it's like they were very careful with the star, which was me, and the supporting players they weren't as careful with. I mean, they really were not kind to him. I had to watch out for him as much as I could because they were really treating him like he was a robot. It was like, there's a human being in there. He's a nice guy. He's a pain in the ass, but he's a nice guy. What?
I remember when the camera used to break down, remember?
When the what?
The camera.
Yeah?
It
Oh,
used to
yeah.
break-
And
yeah,
they
it
just
used to break
kept you in
down.
there.
Oh, the robot, the second season, the spinning
Oh, God, yeah.
brain mental, whatever. We used to do a scene together, walking down the corridor, and all of a sudden I'm looking over this way, and he's spinning around and banging against the wall.
Yeah.
So, they stopped to fix it. In the meantime, I'm standing there. They don't even care about me, like, "Oh, we have to fix the robot." And I said, "What about me, man? I'm here for half an hour suffering, and you don't even care." Well, he's a piece of material, and I'm human. So take off the mask and give me a break, and then fix all you want. But they did it all the time. Every time he broke down, always left me in a corner.
Yeah.
And remember when I had to go to the bathroom?
Yep.
Bob Bender,
Yep.
I kept saying to the guy, "So I got to go to the bathroom." "Oh, can you wait 5 minutes?" "Okay." 10 minutes later, "Bob, I have to go to the bathroom." And he said, "Oh, can you wait 10 minutes? We'll be ready to go." I said, "Wait a minute." So I called the wardrobe guy, and I said, "Can you take this thing off?" So I got to go. And I left. Came back half an hour later. They were still they were not doing anything. How can you imagine? I was standing there waiting for half an hour.
Yeah.
And he didn't want me to go to the bathroom because he wanted to protect his job.
Yeah, Bender was bad
Bob
about
Bender,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. He was
Very
bad
wonderful
about
man.
that.
Yeah.
I had him fired off a movie I did.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, well. Okay.
Yeah. I did a movie called Stormin' Home where I played a motorcycle rider, motocross guy. And there was a scene, it was the last 2 scenes of the day. One was a very romantic scene, sunset, all this kind of stuff, with me and this girl. And then there was a scene where I take a header off the motorcycle in the mud pit. And I said, and we're supposed to do the mud pit first. And I said, it might be better because it's going to take, if I go into that mud, I'm going to have to go back to the trailer. And we were out in a big racetrack thing. I said, I'm going to have to go back to the trailer. I'm going to have to take a shower, redo my hair, makeup, all that other stuff, put on decent clothes, come back out. It's going to take forever. I said, however, if we shoot the romantic scene first, I'm clean. I can just go change wardrobe. We can do that romantic scene. And then we can do the thing with me going into the mud. And you guys can be wrapping the set or whatever, and I can be in there cleaning up and on my way home. Well, they decided to put me in the mud hole first. And I said, are you sure this is what you want to do? Because this is what's going to happen. And so they said, yeah, that's what we're going to do. I said, okay. I don't know if he ever even went to the director with that suggestion, because he was always protecting his own ass at the expense of everybody else. That's witness him trying to keep him on the set. It wasn't about whether he had to go to the bathroom or not. He just didn't want anybody to say, okay, we're ready, and, oh my God, why'd you let him go? That kind of thing. So we shot the scene, and I, of course, had to go back to the motorhome and start reconstructing everything. And it was like every 5 minutes he's on the radio. And I finally, I had an assistant director who was in my trailer as I was getting ready. And it was always, how much longer, how much longer, how much longer? And so finally I got on the radio and I said, if you come back here one more time, I'm going to have you thrown off the set. I told you what the problem was going to be. We're working as fast as we can. You're just going to have to wait. And when I get ready, I will tell you we're ready. So he came back one more time and I said, get off the set. If you were on the set when I come out, I will not do this scene. I don't want to see you when I come out. I've told you and told you and told you, you have pushed it too far, you're a pain in the ass, you're just getting in the way, get out. So, he did. He was the assistant director, the first assistant director. There were like 5 of them or more, depends on the size of the budget. But I had an assistant director, probably a third assistant director that was in my motorhome who was in, radio contact. And of course, the thing is, what he's supposed to do is he's supposed to say, okay, Bob, they're ready, that he'll be there in 5 minutes. But I told him it was going to be a long, involved process, and it's just stupid to do that because it's going to waste all his time. You could shoot this scene first, boom, done, go do this last one, and then you guys can be doing something else while I'm getting cleaned up and getting ready to go back to the hotel. Not a big deal. We were shooting in Dallas at the time. So, anyway, such is showbiz. Penny wise and pound foolish. Yes? I hope so. What was it? Yeah? No. I tell you the story about that dance scene. I've caught more crap about that dance scene. Well, thank you. Thank you. We rehearsed a dance for 2 weeks. After shooting all day, we rehearsed a dance. And when we got to the set to do the scene, the director said, no. I just want, because he was doing dialogue between me and Pamela. He said, just stay close together and just kind of move in one spot and turn around. And I knew what he was doing, because if we had spread it way out, then it was going to be this enormous problem of covering everybody. In other words, shooting everybody in the scene, and then pulling us up and doing a master and then doing close-ups of both of us and all. So he was trying to save time and get the scene done as best he could. So he threw out the dance and everything else. And when you shoot a music scene, they don't play the music. You hear the beat. That's all it is. So it's like boom, 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 boom. That's all you hear. And then they add the music later. So I'm dancing to the beat. Boom, boom, boom. And we're talking and we're doing our thing and blah, 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 and beat, boom, boom, boom. So we shot the whole thing. We do this thing where we try to make it as much motion as we can without getting apart from each other. So I would do a little turn and come right back at her and talk to her, and then she'd do something. And so we try to keep it more face-to-face. When they mixed it, when they take the sound and put it in after we've done all this stuff, and they put the music in, it was a different beat. So instead of boom, boom, it was like boom, da boom, da boom, da boom, da boom. And I'm going, boom, boom. I look like, white men can't dance. So I looked at it and I went, good God. And I caught where are you going? What? What's the matter?
Hurry up.
Did I say something that pissed you off? Huh? Okay, now everyone's leaving. What is going on?
Well, they
I'm
got
just talking about dancing.
Well,
It's a manly thing to do, really. Arthur Murray did it. Anyway, so I caught all kinds of stuff about that, about the dance scene. But thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. I noticed that when they did the DVD, I guess they must have remixed the sound because all of a sudden I'm on beat again, which is kind of nice.
they want to make you more money. That's why.
I guess. I don't know.
They did it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I tell you, when they came out with the DVD, they wanted all of us to do added stuff and everything else, but they didn't want to pay us for it.
Yeah.
It's like, excuse me? I'm sorry, you guys are you broke? I mean, you need a loan? You don't want to pay us for our work? No. But we'd like you to do all this added stuff to make the DVD better. I said, well, am I going to get a percentage of the DVD? No.
Yeah, right. That'd be the day.
So I took Universal to raise, I guess. It's like, no, thanks. That's why there's nothing there except the DVD. They didn't want to pay us for our work. It's like funny. I thought I was doing this professionally. That's like sort of how I make my living, Yes, sir. The effects scenes had to be remastered? Oh, for Blu-ray? I have no idea. Have they come out with Buck Rogers in Blu-ray? Yeah. I don't think it is anywhere else in the world either. I don't know. They barely came out with the DVDs. Well, I had a DVD of the movie available because everybody kept saying, when's it going to come out in DVD? So I made one for myself, for everybody. So I was saying, no rights and all that kind of stuff, but if you'd like to have one, here it is. And then they came out with a DVD and went through all that stuff, and I stopped. I still have about 30 or 40 of the DVDs that I made, but I didn't make the whole series. I only made from the movie. And I actually made it from I think it was called Disco Vision. Universal was going to come out with their own kind of laser disc. So I made it from that, but it was like a laser disc of a bad VHS copy. It really was. It's like, boy, you really did spare no expense, right? Unbelievable. And you wonder. What else? Somebody?
There's a guy
Oh,
there. Wow.
thank you. What happened? Would you like to tell everybody? Are you sure? Okay. Just a little gas or something? Or
Hey, Gil. He's got a question over there,
I'm glad
Gil.
you took that outside. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yes, sir. I'm sitting there talking to you. Jeez, Sue. I don't know. What are you doing?
I have no idea.
Aren't you running a strip club in
I'm
Vegas
just
or
sitting
something?
here listening to your speeches, whatever.
Aren't you running a strip club in Vegas?
Yeah, sure. Every
Yeah,
night.
man.
Every night.
Huh?
Yeah, I live there.
It's called Little
Yeah.
Tatas?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Right. I slide down the pole and everything. You want to go see it?
Yeah.
It's costing money to come and see it.
Yeah?
It's a funny act.
I can't hear a word you're
It's a
saying.
very funny act that I do.
Yeah.
on
Oh,
a
is it a
pole.
funny act?
Yeah, like the fire department.
You do a pole dance?
Shut up. No, I don't do that.
Huh?
I don't
You
do
don't
that.
do a pole dance?
Yeah,
Why not?
I just dance.
You're Italian. Italians don't dance Polish.
They eat the, what do you mean? Oh, wow.
Ooh, let me get my feet up on that
Oh,
one.
you better.
These are relatively new shoes. I don't
They
want
are
to get
new
all.
shoes, huh? I'm going to
Huh?
step on them. Yeah.
Huh?
They don't look like a new shoes to me.
What?
They look like I've been in the dirt and the sand, and you've been a lot,
They're
doing a lot of
comfortable.
walking. They don't look too brand new to me.
I got big, wide feet. What can I tell you?
Well, you're a big guy.
Gives
You
me a
gotta-
good stance.
Well, you want to, yeah, feet like mine?
Oh, good
Then
Lord.
you won't be able to stand up. Would you,
What is that, like a 4?
size
A?
12.
Yours is size 12?
Yes,
Size 12?
12.
For what?
Boys.
Boys.
Yes.
Well, mine's a size 12D for men.
Wow, no. Yeah,
What can I tell you? And no, it's not true.
yeah.
Let's just get that out of the way right now.
Did you answer his question?
What?
He asked you a question.
What?
He asked you a question.
What was it? Oh.
Oh,
Well, I'm writing. Yeah, I'm writing. Actually, I've got these 3 stories. Remember when Alfred Hitchcock did a television, did some stories that said these are stories they wouldn't let me put on TV? Well, I got 3 stories in my brain that have been tickling around there for a long time. And basically it would be called, these are stories that they wouldn't let me do on Buck Rogers. I'm a little reluctant. I've started the first one. I know where the first 3 go. But I've been a little reluctant to really do much with it because I don't have the rights to Buck Rogers, and I keep talking to the people that own the rights and saying, I played Buck Rogers. Wouldn't you like to see a book by me? I said, and if it's crap, we'll get somebody else to write it with me or something. But it's like they're difficult to deal with. So I'm writing this story. Anybody ever wonder what happened to Buck for the last 30 years? Well, I'm going to tell you, but not here. But that's the story I'm writing. Of what happened to Buck, what happened to Wilma.
never mind about me.
Well, they turned you into a toaster.
Yeah.
But I'm finding a lot of interest in that idea of that. So I'm trying to basically talk about what's been happening with Buck and why has he been gone for the last 30 years, as if he's off doing something. And it has to do with the last show was we were on a mission to take some people to another planet. We were resettling them. And there was a girl on the voyage who had killed somebody or was responsible for somebody's death or something. And so there was a whole thing with that, and then we go on. And what I do is I pick it up from there, and some very interesting stuff happened in another universe. So Bucket's been in another universe, I'll tell you that, for the last 30 years. So, and it's been some interesting stuff. It's wild. I mean, my brain just kind of goes, okay, well, I can do whatever I want. So, talking about all kinds of things. Yes? None I can say here. People used to say to me, good Lord, you have these really beautiful women on your show. How do you manage it? I said, it's part of my contract. There has to be at least 5 really good-looking women on my show every week. But no, I was just lucky, I guess. What can I tell you? Somebody had to be there. I'm glad it was me. Because I do like the ladies. Yes. Yes. Hi there. Stand up, let everybody see you. Don't be sad, a girl. Oh, hi, Kim. It's Kim, right? Yes. How are you? Everything okay? How are the kids? Is Kyle back there with you? Yeah. Hi, Kyle. How you doing? God, I wish I remembered people better. Yeah, Kim. Well, there's a rumor, actually I think that it's a fact, that Disney owns the rights to Buck Rogers. I'm not really sure. That's all I know. They don't have to ask me whether they do it or not. Say again? Oh, you had a part 2? I'm sorry. The last time someone asked me that, because I know I wouldn't be doing it, who's the guy that was the lead on Firefly? Huh? Yeah, I thought he would do a good job. He seemed to have a good sense of humor. You know, I would not like to see somebody, you know, try to be a studly buck and serious. I'd like to see somebody who could carry a sense of humor. And the little bit that I saw of Firefly, I thought, now there's a guy who could do it, you know. Not that they care what I think, but that's what I think. So you can tell him that I think he'd make a good Buck Rogers. Is that okay? But I still want to do the role, okay?
Somebody will do it.
I know they'll never cast me, but I really love that character. Yes, sir. Oh, I was, Friday night I would leave the set after shooting all day, about 11 o'clock, and get a red eye to someplace in the country and do interviews all weekend and fly back Sunday night. Sometimes it was events. I did a parade in Pittsburgh where I got pulled out of the car by 30 women, which sounds really great, but let me tell you, it's not fun. When you go to shake somebody's hand and they won't let go of you, and the guy who's driving the car is not paying attention, and you're slowly being pulled out of the back of a convertible in the middle of the street in Detroit, and all of a sudden, like 40 cops come from all around, and they don't, you gotta let go of the guy, you know, before you kill him. But it was just a lot of stuff like that. I just did, you know. And then I'd fly back and get up at 4 o'clock in the morning on Monday and go to work. And I remember one time, this is something else that Erin bitched about, was that she had to come in one time because I asked if I could come in later. They had switched the scenes. And, you know, I said to her, I said, Erin, because she was griping about it, and I said, you know, the guy apparently said to her, like, well, Gil doesn't want to come in, you know. Ugh. And I said, Erin, have you ever watched the show? And she said, yeah. I said, how many scenes am I not in? Does that give you an idea of the load that I was carrying on that show? I said, this is what happened. I said, I got back at 4 o'clock in the morning. Yes. Thank you. And I said, someone cares.
Yes.
I'm going to just talk to you the rest of the time because you're simpatico. Anyway, I called the AD up and I said, look, yes, exactly. It's okay. She's fine.
No, don't.
This is the only person in the audience who cares about me.
It's okay. Sit down.
Yes.
No.
Hi, baby. Yes, I give kisses back to you, too. Thank you.
She's okay.
Anyway, she can stay, really. It doesn't bother me. And so I love it, actually. So I just asked if they could switch some scenes around so I could come in, so I could get at least a couple of hours of sleep. So I had a really heavy day that day, and I was like, can I just, you know, come in? Can you switch a few scenes around so I can come in? So they did. And 30 years later, she's still pissed off about that. My God, Erin, I mean, come on. One time I asked. This was the only time I ever asked him to do it.
And she's still bitching at you?
What?
She's still bitching at you, right? 30 years later.
She mentioned it, yeah.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
You know her.
Like I tell you, women, you know what I'm saying?
Oh.
Yeah, I know. They're all very close up here. But, yeah. Which one? You mean the real flight suit or the white one? Yeah, well, that was Jean-Pierre Dorliac designed that. Yes, huh?
Jean-Pierre.
He also did Ardala, so you know it's like it's kind of a trade-off here. You know what I'm saying? Like whoa, and good God, but that suit was spandex. You realize that? I spent the day in a girdle from my neck to my ankles. The spandex is not I guess the modern kind of spandex. If you had the least bit of body moisture, which we all do because you just, that's how your body cools itself, right? You couldn't get it on because you start to pull it up, and, of course, it would just stick. Mm-hmm. The moisture would just stop it. So I had to wear silk underwear, long johns, and silk stuff down to here, and then pull the pants up over it so that would slide up. And, of course, they were so tight that by the end of the day, I had ridges in my legs from where those pants were. So I went through that for about the first 3 or 4 shows, and then I convinced the producers that Buck would have talked to Theopolis and had Theopolis and Twiki go down to the archives and find some fashions from the 80s so Buck would be comfortable in his new life. And get away from me. I got a bug bugging me. Either that or I got the DTs, and I don't know which it is. But I don't drink, so it's got to be a real bug. Anyway, so I convinced him that Buck took Twiki and Theopolis down to the archives, and we actually started getting a different wardrobe, a more modern, a more 80s kind of wardrobe, which delighted my wardrobe guy because he went out and bought you would not believe the clothes this guy bought. And I was a lot more comfortable after that. Then we tried a jumpsuit of some kind, but I never went back in that white suit again. No, actually, the first time I felt that was when the new production team came in and sent me the first 5 scripts, and I was like, what have I gotten myself into? Because they were so bad, it was not even funny. No, season 1. You never saw those. Because I said, if you want to do this, I'm not interested in doing it. Buck was not funny. He was really a pain in the butt. The opening scene of the first script that I read, Dr. Theopolis is talking about this, Dr. Hewer is talking about this very serious threat to the earth, and Buck is in the back, cracking wisecracks through the whole thing. And I said, if I was Dr. Hewer, I would have said to him, either shut up or leave the room. I said, that's how disruptive this character was. And I said, I'm not interested in playing this character. I said, Buck has a sense of humor. He's not a smartass. He's the kind of guy you can rely on. When the chips are down, he's there for you. He's there 100%. When things are serious, ooh, yeah, baby. Anyway, so they said, well, give us a chance. I said, no, you got to stop right now. So I made them rewrite all the scripts and start dealing with some sense of humor. So you never saw those scripts, thank God.
We have a
what?
Couple of guys that drive.
Hi there, I'm sorry. Hi, David, how are you? Nice to meet you. I'm Gil. Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, I turned the role down 3 times. I had done a pilot for Michael Landon called, it was called Stone, and it ended up a movie that we called Killing Stone. I pissed some other people off. They're leaving now. Okay. Did you have a slip that says you can leave early? Oh, there they go now. Oh, the little girl's taking off, isn't she? Yep.
Well, 2 coming
My
in.
one friend in the whole place.
Hey, Gil.
Come back. What's her name? Aria.
Ah.
Hi, Aria. Don't leave me, Aria. I need you, baby. Where were we? Sorry. Well, I'd done a pilot for Michael Landon called Stone. I don't know if you might have already heard this story, but anyway, I really wanted to do this show. I really liked Mike a lot, and I had done a Little House on the Prairie, and on the strength of that, he wanted me to do this series for him. It was going to be a new Route 66, and I was going to be the star of the show, and he was going to get really top-notch writers like Patty Chayefsky and people like that to write scripts for the show. So I really wanted to do that series. They came to me about Buck Rogers, and I was like, no. You know, I saw Adam West's career destroyed by Batman with Bop Biff Bam. The poor guy couldn't get hired for 20 years. Did you know that? They wouldn't even hire him for quiz shows as a guest star on quiz shows. The guy's got a great sense of humor. Anyway, so I just didn't want that. I did not want his career. So they came back and, you know, I said, no, I'm not interested. I don't want to do a cartoon character because I saw, you know, the voice bubbles, you know, Bop Biff Bam and all that kind of stuff. So finally, after the third time, they came back and they said, you know, told my agent, said, would you read the script? And if you think it's something Gil might like, would you ask him to at least read the script? So he called me up and he said, I read the script. It's not what you think. You should at least read it. So I read it and I was like, all right, well, I like the sense of humor of the character. He has a humanity about him. There's no Bop Biff Bam. So yeah, I could do it, but I still want to do this thing for Mike. So Universal came back and said, we'll take second position to that show if you'll just do Buck Rogers. So I said, okay. So we did it. And it was supposed to be a 10-hour miniseries, and then they ended up shooting the first part of Buck Rogers as a motion picture, which it became one of the top 5 grossing motion pictures of 1979. Did you? I had the world premiere in Little Rock, Arkansas to benefit retarded citizens there. Now, before you start thinking the entire state was like that, it was a legitimate charity, and I just thought this would be a nice thing to do for them. So I threw the world premiere of Buck Rogers myself. I paid for it all. Flew people in, everything else. Were you there? You were there.
Where?
The world premiere of Buck Rogers.
In Arkansas?
In Little Rock.
No.
You weren't there? Where the
I
hell
went
were
to
you?
Miami.
You were in Miami?
Yeah, on the Orange Bowl.
You were at the Orange Bowl?
Yes.
What the hell were you doing in the Orange Bowl?
With a costume on.
You were in Twiki?
Yeah.
Oh, is that why you weren't there? When
Yeah.
the thing premiered?
No. I'm talking about the parade that the center, NBC sent us over there to do a parade. Lucky that it was at night.
Huh.
And I was standing on a float. It was nice and warm. Can you imagine if it was in the afternoon in Miami?
Oh, yeah.
I would have been broiled. You
Yeah.
know, well done, like a lobster.
Yeah.
Was at night, was beautiful and cool. We had a lot of fun. I was never in Arkansas.
Huh.
No, I didn't go. You didn't invite me. I was not invited.
Anyway, I almost did something I
Anyway,
really
yeah.
regret.
I
Hi.
understand that.
What?
I know what you're talking about. What you
Okay,
said.
good. Good.
Okay.
Anyway, did that answer your question? Okay. Yes, sir.
How long you been doing cons? And have you met some people you said would think, wow, that guest, I wish I had hung out with him. There's all kinds of people that come to the various cons, and I'm talking about the stars, the other people that we come to see the films. Have you met some people that you thought, hey, that was a really cool person?
John Barrowman. Cool guy. Told him, I said, man, I'd love to work with you. I like your style. Plus, the guy that plays the husband of the female lead on, what the hell's the name of that place that they work? Huh? Torchwood. The dark-haired girl, the guy who plays her husband, I think they were at Dragon Con or something. Anyway, I met both of them, and it turns out they were both huge fans of Buck Rogers, which blew me away. And I said, well, you know, I'm a big fan of you guys. I'd really love to work with you guys sometime. So, Sylvester McCoy. I actually got a chance to work with him because I do a thing called Celebrity Match Game in the 25th century. At Dragon Con every year. I sign every other year, but I do this every year because I live in the Atlanta area. So it's sort of my home con. And so I got Sylvester to be on my panel. And I had him and Garrett Wong and a bunch of people. And had a blast. It was really, he is a very funny guy. And we had a great time like he and I do with trading barbs and going back and forth and stuff. It was really fantastic. So got a chance to kind of work with him in a way in a vaudeville situation practically. But yeah, there's a lot of people that I got a chance to work with earlier in life, like Jimmy Stewart, Joseph Cotton, Olivia de Havilland, Jack Lemmon. That was in one movie, Airport 77. A lot of the people that came on to Buck Rogers, I got a chance to work with, like Jack Palance. And the guy who, God, I wish I could remember his name now. The guy who played the original Gunga Din, Sam Jaffe. Remember Sam Jaffe?
Yes.
No, I don't know if he's been her. I know he was in Dr. Marcus, not Marcus Welby, he was in Ben Casey. He was the guy who did the voiceover who said life, death, and all this kind of, I don't know if you remember it. It's an old black and white series. Huh? It's when they did really good television. And if you're not as old as I am, you don't know about the real golden age of television. No, that was not the golden age of television. That was TV. That was movie serials. That was not. They put them on television, but they were meant for movies. Funny thing is, I grew up. I didn't have TV when I grew up. I had radio, and my TV on Saturday was going to the local theater and watching a feature and a bunch of cliffhangers. And Buck Rogers was one of them, and I never liked the show. I liked Johnny Mac Brown and Lash LaRue and Jungle Jim and all that kind of stuff. I even liked Tarzan better than I liked Buck Rogers. I just thought it was kind of dopey, to tell you the truth. Huh? Flash Gordon, same thing. Flash Gordon was a ripoff of Buck Rogers way back in the day. Yeah, thank you. Yes, he did. And he was also a good friend. He became a good friend when he guest starred on Buck Rogers. He was a great guy. Yeah, we talked quite a bit. He had me down for some dinners celebrating astronauts and stuff in New Mexico, which I thought was really cool. I liked him a lot. But he said something to me very interesting. I'll share with you. When he was guest starring on Buck Rogers, he said, everybody's all excited about these new special effects, with the starfighters and all that kind of stuff. And he said, everybody was very excited back in the 20s with all of our special effects and the starfighters and all that stuff. The stuff that they're laughing at now. And he said, in 50 years, what do you think people are going to be doing about these special effects? So I cursed him after that because I actually called him up one time and I said, Buster, you SOB. I said, I can't watch the show anymore without your voice ringing in my head. Do they still hold up? Do they still hold up? I said, you're driving me nuts. So I think they still do, to tell you the truth. They're not CGI, but I think the fight scenes still hold up. Some of the scripts don't hold up too well, but the fight scenes do. So, somebody else? Come on now. Yes. Well, the reaction that I had was put him back. Put Mel Blanc back. And I made them do it. It's easy when you kind of say to somebody, either you put Mel Blanc back or you find another Buck Rogers. So they kind of listen to you then. It seemed like every time it had to get to that before, you know, you couldn't have an intelligent conversation. It had to be like, yeah, 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 yeah. And it's like, oh, God. I'm so sick of brinkmanship. It's not even funny. But they wouldn't listen until you said, either you do it or I won't do something, which I hated, but that's the only thing to listen to. So, yes, sir. Say again? Say again? No, my ego wasn't competing with him. It's just I just think that's sort of that's the only way they knew how to deal with actors. I mean, I went to them and I said I'd like better scripts on the show. You know, spend the money on better scripts. They redecorated my dressing room. Yes, exactly. See, she is so on top of it.
She's on cue.
This woman, I swear, she is right there for me.
Right cue.
I mean, it's like ridiculous. I was like, I asked for better scripts. You redecorated my dressing room. What do you think? I'm 5 years old? You buy me a new toy, I'll forget what I asked for? I mean, come on. Treat me like I have a brain. I was an industrial chemist, for God's sakes, before I became an actor. I ran 45 men in 15 laboratories in 3 states. I'm not an idiot. Don't treat me like one. So, but that's just all they could think about. I mean, they really had a low opinion of actors, and I see your hand. Yes. My leg's asleep now. What? Why don't you go ahead? I've been...
Yes, I think, yeah, you've been talking for 3 days, so maybe I'll give it a chance to say.
I've been lonely, Felix.
I know you've been lonely.
I've been so lonely.
Oh.
I've had no one to talk to.
Go back to your room and go to bed. If you're lonely, go to sleep.
You just tell her, please.
Will you shut up and let me talk then? No, the way it happened with me, actually, I moved to L.A., Los Angeles, 1962, with the Ringling Brothers Barnum Bailey Circus. And I decided I didn't want to do the circus anymore, so I went to work for a company that they did a publicity for the circus, and every year they came to Los Angeles. So one day a gentleman came from MGM Studio, and a friend of my boss, and says, you know what, they're looking for little people to do some stunt work. And he says, why don't you go down to MGM and maybe, you know, it might be the right size, the right person. So I went to the MGM Studio. Actually, a friend of mine had to take me down there because I didn't have a car yet. And I doubled Billy Mooney, in which he's here. In his first movie, it's called A Ticklish Affair. There were 3 kids, 3 little boys. I doubled him when he was 6 years old. And then it was Shirley Jones, Caroline Jones, Gig Young, Red Buttons, and so forth. And that became it was my first movie. Hanging on a crane 110 feet off the ground, flying balloons over Los Angeles golf course and over power line, things like that. That's how I wasn't looking to, you know, to go to work as an actor. So that's how I started out, as a stunt guy, a Dublin little boy. So, and then after that, Adam's Family came, and a little bit after that, you know, kept coming. Then old Buck Rogers came, and actually I was competing with, you remember the little Heavy on the Battlestar Galactica, little monkey? They were thinking about putting the monkey inside the suit. I said, how can the monkey going to stand in a suit and you tell, hey, go from here to there, you know? How are you going to do that? What kind of mentality, you know, what kind of brain you people have? So you have to have a human there that you could talk and tell him, you know, ask him what to do, and he'll do it. They were thinking about putting a monkey in there. And I had to compete with other people, like, you know, a little girl couldn't see. She had high glasses, I mean, this thick. So I got the job because I knew one of the producer. And so I got the job, and I got to meet you, and thank God it happened. It was nice. Only 5 minutes from home, and it was really nice. You know, just drive 5 minutes, and I'm there at Universal Studio. So that's how it became, that's how I got my first job, 1962. And 1995, I gave it up. Then in 2003, I moved to Vegas, and I'm glad I'm there because I will never go back to California. I love California. I'm sorry if anybody from California here, but I don't care for most of the people over there, they're terrible. Really. The way they drive, they're crazy. And that's why I don't want to be there. Vegas is not any better, but We're a little better than California. And now I know why he's in Georgia. You were in California, right? I got out of there. Yeah, you got out of there. And there's no work anyway, everything's like, like CGI and like Star Wars. They use all these 501st, all the guys dressed in white. The 1,000 of them, they put them in the background with a computer. So in the meantime, we don't work. Thanks to a computer. So, you could go now. Huh? You could go now. It's your turn. Huh?
What?
Say what?
What? I was asleep. I'm sorry. What did you say?
I'm sorry I woke you up. Oh, my God. No, it's up to you now. It's your turn.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by your story.
You are fascinated.
I was fascinated by your story.
Okay.
Yeah. Mine was, I was an industrial chemist. I was on 2 advisory task forces to the governor of Arkansas, one for the metalworking industry and one for the chemical industry in the state. I had 15 laboratories in 3 states that I was supervising and 45 men doing some classified work, which I still can't talk about, but anyway, that was my life, and I was bored. I did some of the original work on the Titan II missile fuels and oxidizers, and I just thought, I don't want to be doing this when I'm 70. Oddly enough, I'll be 71 this month, and I'm doing what I've loved since 1969. But anyway, I resigned from all the commissions I was on and advisory task forces. I just resigned from my job and sold everything I owned and moved to New York and started driving a cab 12 hours a night and going to acting school. And then I got a couple of breaks and started working, and initially I ended up doing about 440 commercials, television commercials. Did a soap opera, The Doctors, for 3.5 years. Produced a Broadway play, The Amen Corner. Got to work with Jimmy Baldwin, who was one of the premier black playwrights in the world. He was part of the Lost Generation in Paris, which I was just fascinated by all that stuff, and the fact that be able to work with the man was incredible. One of my most notable commercials was, I don't know if you remember Loving Care, and the commercial was, it was Loving Care from Claro, yeah. I did 6 of them. I was supposed to do 1. I ended up doing 6. And the line was me looking into the camera and saying, "You're not getting older, you're getting better." Yeah. And I remember I did the first one, and I heard the director in the control one going, "Holy God, this guy's great. Shit, get him in something else." And I did like 7 wardrobe changes, and they did every one of them. It was like unreal. I was like, good God, I came in to do 1, it was like 7, not 6. And then I did a Dristan commercial, which is also probably, I think I Got a Fever. I played a construction worker in that. And then I was spokesman for Ford Motor Company for 2 years, which is really kind of interesting. Just stuff like that. And I after doing this soap, I produced a film called Hooch down in North Carolina and Shelby, North Carolina, for a guy named Earl Owensby. Actually, we worked at his studio. It was my production company. And then I got called out to L.A. Actually, I auditioned for something in New York that was for a pilot for a series, and they flew me out to L.A. to screen test for it, and I met a guy named Bernie Kowalski, who was a producer, writer, and whatever. And he said, do you have an agent here? And I said, no. This was after I did the test. And he said, well, you need to get an agent. And he took me around to everybody in Universal and introduced me to everyone, and which I thought was really kind of cool. And then I went back to New York, and then they flew me back out to guest star on a Beretta. And then I went back to New York, and they flew me back out to do a pilot for a series. And so I did that, and then I flew back to New York, and they flew me back out to do Airport 77. And I thought, well, I'm getting jet lagged terminally here. I need to so I moved from New York to L.A. and started working. And then I did Little House on the Prairie and Hawaii Five-0, and then I did that pilot for Mike, and then They wanted me to do Buck Rogers, and the rest is just dirt. That was how I got started. I drove a cab 12 hours a night in New York and went to school the rest of the time to study. Got a break driving the cab, and that was it. So, excitement, huh? Yes. Yeah. Yes. I was really amazed because I did a tour when I was here in August. They took us out for a tour of the Johnson Space Center. And I was amazed at the number of astronauts that came up, even astronaut candidates who are young people, who said they were inspired by Buck Rogers. And I was like, whoa. It touches me now. But scientists who are working out there, they're not astronauts, who talked about the fact that science fiction, and Buck Rogers in particular, inspired them to go into space work and that kind of science. And it was incredible. I'd never realized that. And it was, I always wanted to have some kind of an impact when, with acting. I always felt like, that there was a potential there to have some impact on society and at least be some kind of a force for good. So I feel like, my work has been done, But I was just really, really touched by the fact that these guys, go into space, risk their lives, and do some really incredible stuff for this country. And it's really goes down to when they were kids, they watched Buck Rogers and were inspired to do it. So, yeah, it's been great. That was amazing. Yes? Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Say thank you. She was nice to you.
Thank you very much.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
See, he is an artificial
You know what?
intelligence. He's Italian.
What's wrong with being Italian?
What?
What's wrong with being Italian?
Not a thing. Just
Okay.
don't marry one.
I didn't
Unless
marry
you
one.
really
I
like
marri-
a lot of drama.
I
You know
didn't
what I'm
marry
saying?
one. I married an Okie from Muskogee. I'm actually Oklahoma. So
Yeah.
I didn't marry an
She's
Italian.
a girl from Oklahoma?
Yeah,
Is
I
she
married
Italian?
Huh? She's not Italian.
Oh, they don't allow 'em in
Oklahoma's
Oklahoma.
not in Italy. What's the matter with you?
Huh?
Where's your geography? You're
I didn't
supposed to
say
be.
from Italy. I said she Italian.
No, she's
boothead.
not. She's from Oklahoma.
You don't think they got Italians in Oklahoma?
This one, no, she's not Italian. She's an American from Oklahoma. You heard me all right?
What?
Never mind. I think he's got a question over there.
Well, who?
Gentleman
Yes,
over
sir. Sorry. That's Tim, right?
Oh,
No. What is it? Jeff? Okay, go ahead. Then forget it. I never liked you anyway.
wait a minute, he's asking me a question.
That's why I don't like
So
it.
why are you interrupting?
It's my show.
Be quiet.
What?
Okay, Tim, how what?
Tedious.
Oh, it wasn't very hard. It only took me, 50, actually, I didn't get it by myself. I put my, the legs on, and the rest I had to, I had help from the wardrobe person. It only took about 15 minutes. It wasn't really that bad, it was okay. I mean, if I didn't do the job, someone else waiting at the door. So, like I said, how hard was it? If you don't like the heat, stay out of the kitchen. If you don't like the heat, you don't take the job. But it wasn't really that hard. It was easy. I did it for, a year and a half?
Say again?
Never mind.
All right. Are you done?
No, I'm not.
Did he answer your question?
Yeah, I answered. Yes, I answered.
Uh-oh. What do you need, Jeff? See how good I am with
Will
names?
you stop interrupting?
Huh?
He's trying to come over here.
Yeah, Jeff.
Come here. Oh, okay, it's yours.
That was my favorite show. If I were to do it, wanted to do a series from then until now, it would be Sidekicks. It was a far more positive situation for me, creatively as well, on Sidekicks. A lot less drama, a lot less infighting, a lot less studio politics. It was really a fun show, and I really liked the whole concept of the guy and the kid, and the two, not competing, but the two different cultures coming together, that kind of clash, and each one trying to understand the other one's thing. I just thought it was a very rich show, and I wish it had continued. Unfortunately, it was a political killing, as they call it, because it was developed under one president at ABC. He was fired, and the new guy came in, and of course, he hated everything the guy had developed, and we were one of them. They moved us to Saturday night, and we were the highest rated show they had on Saturday night, and we were the only Saturday night show that they did not renew. Figure that one out. Like, yes, exactly, I understand. Yeah. So, yeah, I loved that show. I really thought it was great. So I'm glad, thank you. Huh? Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you. It was good. Yes, ma'am. All of them.
Oh, oh, yeah. Okay, all of them.
Suzanne Plachette. I did 2 movies with Suzanne. She was really a funny lady. She said she loved working with me. She said, you're one of the few men in Hollywood who's got a voice deeper than mine.
Hey, Gil,
She
what
was
about
something else. I miss her a lot. She was terrific.
Gil?
Well, yes.
What about the girl that got killed by her husband? Model? Was
Dorothy?
Yeah, Dorothy. She was really
Huh?
kind of beautiful. Dorothy
She
Stratton,
was a beautiful girl, yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't act her way out of a paper bag, but she
Right?
was
Well,
still a
but you
beautiful
have
girl.
to act.
Huh?
You don't have to act, and she showed her beauty, so that's
What
all
would
it
have
takes.
helped?
Yeah, no, well,
Yeah. He's talking about Dorothy
Stratton.
Stratton.
Yeah.
Yeah. God rest her soul. She didn't deserve that, but she was not a very good actress. Yeah. Yeah, she had a hard time hitting her marks to the point where they actually put sandbags down, and she tripped on the sandbags. It was like, what do? We can't get this woman to stop walking. You know, it's like you walk to here and you stop. Well, she would walk and trip over the sandbag they put there. So. But she was a sweet girl. She was a sweet girl. 5 minutes what? What's 5 minutes? Is that Ethan? Are you causing problems again? What do you think? You could change shirts and I wouldn't recognize you?
He went like that.
Huh? Go to your room. Ethan works out at the Johnson Space Center. Somebody had their hand. Yes. Give him a hand. Yes.
Yep. All right.
Yes. He does janitorial supplies there. Actually, he's in charge of the maintenance on the space station, right? Yeah. Yeah. That's why they're having so many problems. Anyway. I'm kidding. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, sir. Say again? It was a job I got offered, and it came with a draft certification of 4D, which meant vital to the nation's defense because of the work I was doing. And it kept me out of the Vietnam War. It came this close to being a Navy pilot and going to Vietnam. And I had done the physical, I had done all the paperwork. I just hadn't signed my name and raised my hand. And some buddies of mine came back who were helicopter pilots in Vietnam, and they said, stay the F out of it. if you can. Just stay in school, do whatever you're going to do, but don't go. It's like they said, it's ridiculous. He said, one guy said, they're shooting the armor off my helicopter and I can't return fire. So he said, it ain't John Wayne, let me tell you. So I took their advice and ducked. So I came very close to the draft, but it didn't happen. So, and it was after I'd made up my mind I wanted to be an actor and go to New York, and then, so it was a very thin moment. So I wrote poetry and stuff about Vietnam, and the fact that I remember one time I heard on the radio, they said only 100 men died in Vietnam last week, and I was like, only 100 men died? Only 100 men died? So I wrote a poem about only 100 sets of parents cried. Only perhaps 50 sweethearts, et cetera. So, and Roscoe Lee Brown actually read that poem at one of his poetry readings, which I was very touched by. But anyway, I just, the more I read about the history of that whole thing, it was like, it was just terrible. It was such a terrible waste of American lives. But that's just me. I hate to see our youth and our treasure wasted on things like that. It's just a shame. Such bravery and such courage and such patriotism abused. I have nothing but respect for the people who served or continue to serve. So anyway, that's just, without getting carried away with all that, it's the way I feel. Aren't you glad you asked that question?
Thank you very much. You gonna go?
What?
Say thank you.
I'm fine here. I'm having a good time.
Are you having fun?
Are you not enjoying yourself?
Yeah.
Aren't these nice people?
I love
Aren't
this.
these nice people?
I'm having fun, man. I got
Are you?
I got my, I got away from home 5 days.
Because you got a horny woman in the front row. Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Huh? Shh. What?
Don't say anything. Be quiet. Ready to go? You said
This
5.
is what you wanted me to be quiet for? Why? What do you know? You go to the bathroom or something? Huh? He's got like a little bitty bladder. It's unreal. What? Anybody else?
Anybody?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Any more questions?
Will you be quiet? The man's asking a question. Show a little respect.
Can you stand up, please, and give him
Yeah.
whatever you...
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he loved it. Yeah. Yes. I had a little funny thing happened. One day, a gentleman came over to visit on the set, and I was ready to go on. So I got up, my director called me up, and I got off my chair, and I walked towards the camera, and all of a sudden I heard somebody says, all right, there he goes. What's his name? The singer. I can't remember his name. I can't remember the guy's name. Anyway, he had a toupee. So anyway, I don't remember the name of the gentleman. He's a singer. Frankie Lane. Frankie Lane. So anyway, I heard this guy says, oh, there he goes, Frankie Lane toupee. So I went to work, and I didn't think about what happened, what was. And so all of a sudden, after the shot, the thing was done, the take, I asked someone, I says, who was here today visiting? The guy says, no, there was Bob Hope. He came over, and he saw me walking, and it looked like a toupee, like a mop. And so there goes Frankie Lane toupee. Oh. And then we had a funny thing with Jackie Coogan. Every 5 minutes, he used to fall asleep. He ruined so many takes.
Was he a narcoleptic?
No, I mean, when he wasn't involved in a scene, he sat on his chair, and all of a sudden I just put his bottom down there, and he sat in there, he kept snoring. And they kept ruining so many takes. And the director used to go over to slap him in the bald head and say, Jackie, you know what you do? You're ruining the scene. You're ruining the whole day. Go to your room. When we need you, we'll come and get you. So they sent me to his room, and finally, we started working. Everything was fine. But he kept asleep. He fall asleep in no way, no time at all. But just standing there or sitting there, he just got falling asleep and kept snoring. He slept all the time when he was not involved in the scene. So that's it. I'm going.
Are you done?
Are you done?
You finished? Well, I hope you enjoyed this little interlude with us. We enjoyed being with you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's not a lightsaber. Would you stop playing with my butt?